Welcome back. The main objective of education is to develop the mind, because a developed mind can overcome all kinds of challenges. And SOIL is one such B school which is committed to creating leaders of consequence, character and capability. And now I'm joined by Anil Sachdev to know more about this initiative. So Anil, welcome to the show and tell me, what are the main pillars of thought behind SOIL?
We have been thinking a lot about what is required to make this world a better place and what world of business can do. So businesses are not, in my opinion, really acting responsibly. They are not asking questions like how can we serve the planet, how can we take care of the ecosystem, how can we pay attention to the underprivileged who really require that sense of compassion. And so this is because leaders are not self-aware. We are so busy with making money for ourselves and selling our own products and services that we don't care enough for the larger whole. This is not sustainable. Organizations cannot afford to deal with business in this manner. And when we looked at what business schools are doing and not doing, both in their doing, there is a lot of scope for improvement, but what they are not doing is very important. So we are beginning this bold new experiment which is based on 4 pillars. The first pillar is on ethics. So we are going to bring theater into the classroom and make people do role plays, saying if you are in the place of, let's say, the Satyam Fund, why do you compromise on your values? You could get it. Like to create that sense of drama in the or more voices. The second pillar of sustainability. Are you of Earth's and how much of it lack? You to measure your sustainability, the energy consumption. Most of us don't even know how much we are consuming in terms of water, electricity and things like that, and can we do something to not allow the destruction of the planet to this extent. So that's the second pillar. The third, the feeling of empathy. See, empathy is not taught because business schools don't even select people based on emotional intelligence. So we are beginning a social innovation program where students will work with NGOs and really develop the sense of empathy. And lastly, learning self-mastery and mindfulness, which is leaders who are taught how their own behavior can impact people around them.
Well, that is a very interesting thought, but tell me, how is SOIL's methodology different from the other existing B schools? Because after all of them claim to create leaders who have the vision.
See, the business schools are making leaders who are analytical, rational, understanding the latest techniques on how to improve efficiency and productivity and how to serve their customers. So business schools are very good in doing that. That means their whole training is meant to develop the left side of the brain. There is not enough emphasis on the right side of the brain. And so we are emphasizing a lot more on creativity, innovation and empathy, which is in service of the larger cause.
What is your long-term goal for the School of Inspired Leadership?
So the larger vision of SOIL is we want to produce 5,000 leaders in the next 10 years who truly transform the way business is done in this country and hopefully in the rest of the world, because we are getting a lot of resonance of this message from people around the world. So some of the best people around the world are showing up to partner with us because they believe it's an urgent need of the planet today.
Tell me about your industry of consortium.
There are 11 companies which have already joined the consortium. Each one is a role model of this aspect of inspired leadership. So we have Hindustan Unilevers, we have Tata Steel, we have Dr. Reddy's Lab, we have GSK, we've got Kohler Corporation which has just joined, we have BPCL, a very innovative public sector which is giving attention. So each one, we have SRF, each one of them is following these kinds of principles in their own work. Yes.
What do you feel is lacking in our current education system and how do you plan to change that with SOIL?
You know, there is a lot of good work happening in early education for teaching students values and even how to be sensitive to others. In schools, some good schools are doing that. But in higher education, this is absent. It's only information and knowledge, not character. And in business schools, character building is left to only guest lectures. Now we are saying this is an important part of our agenda because we believe that the young people of India and the world are far more ethical. They don't want to be corrupt. They don't want to take shortcuts, but they are looking for role models who don't force these compromises on them. So our vision is to work with the young generation that is far more ethical, far more environment friendly, and we want to give them an opportunity to express these ideas and bring them in touch with real role models in industry who so far they are very good people, but they are very shy people. The best people, the good people are very publicity shy. They don't like to go and teach, but we want to bring their examples to our classroom.
Well, I'm now joined by Nishchay Suri, who is the president of SOIL. So Nishchay, how are your leadership programs equipped to empower today's youth and enhance their inherent leadership skills?
Well, the School of Inspired Leadership would begin with two programs. One's called a Business Leadership Program, which is a one-year full-time program intended for working executives with up to 5 years of experience and beyond. And then the other is called the HR Leadership Program, which is intended for fresh graduates and working professionals. Now, both are full-time one-year programs, and we believe that this provides the academic challenge and the enriching educational experiences that we can bring in.
Well, this is a wonderful initiative, but what is the selection process going to be like?
Yes, having studied selection systems world over and in India, we've seen that the selection system in education is biased towards including people which have or who have a greater sense of analytical ability and numerical ability. And we know that there's a lot of research being done on multiple intelligences, and we want to allow for that inclusion in our program. And the first step that we are taking is in strengthening the selection system into our programs by introducing a tool called Caliper Profile, which is a leadership assessment tool that helps us gauge the leadership capacity of an individual. And I believe that that can make a big difference, because if we alter the quality of input, is only then when you can alter the quality of output.
What do you feel is the plight of today's education, and how do you plan to bring about a change in that?
Well, to begin with, I think we want to introduce a higher level of academic challenge and many more enriching educational experiences for students. When I think back and I reflect upon what my enriching educational experience is, there's usually a silence, and that's reflective of the quality of education in our country and the improvement that it needs. Number one, we believe that we should move away from this functional specialization that every business school creates. We're creating competent managers, not leaders. And it's important that we make this shift by organizing our education around issues that are important for organizations and teach around them rather than addressing a subject by function. So that's one key distinction, which is whole systems thinking that we are introducing into our education.
Well, when it comes to education system, one has to constantly keep innovating. So how does the School of Inspired Leadership plan to bring about new innovation in education?
To begin with, our faculty, which I believe is amongst the best and distinguished faculty around the world. Secondly, I think the environment that we're building learning studios, which are specially designed learning spaces, which facilitate and promote better learning among students. So therefore, there is far higher peer networking that takes place in our programs. There is far higher interaction between the student and the faculty. I think above all is that every